Are shutdowns actually avoidance behavior? In other words, the individual is simply trying to get out of doing something uncomfortable. And how is it different than a meltdown? I'm not sure exactly where to draw the line between intentional and involuntary acts with my ASD husband. Well, when it comes to dealing with a person with ASD level 1 or high-functioning autism, there aren't too many differences between meltdowns and shutdowns. Both are extreme reactions to relationship difficulties and other unwanted stimuli. Both tend to be the result of long-term unresolved issues rather than the more obvious triggers, and both are almost completely out of control for the person rather than being used as a means to an end, which would either be a tantrum or emotional blackmail. Now, some people on the autism spectrum are more prone to meltdowns, while others lean more towards the shutdown reaction. And it's possible to do both, but this depends greatly on the root cause of the problem. Now, there's a personality component to the reaction with people on the spectrum who are more sure of themselves or more fiercely independent, leaning towards meltdowns rather than shutdowns. But again, there's a wide variance depending on the feelings brought on by the trigger. Some events can make even the most confident person on the spectrum doubt himself. So while a meltdown can be described as rage against a situation, a shutdown tends to be more of a retreat. One prominent behavior that manifests during a shutdown is when the autistic spouse avoids conversation, keeps his distance from his neurotypical spouse, and he engages in his special interest for a lengthy period of time to decompress. Now, as with meltdowns, in a shutdown situation, the person may act irrationally or even in some cases dangerously. Unlike a meltdown, however, the harmful activities are almost always directed at oneself. In worst case scenarios, there could be some self-harm, and in the vast minority of cases, there are reported cases of suicide. As with meltdowns, the cause of a shutdown tends to be cumulative, and the trigger may bear little resemblance to the actual problem. The real problems associated with the shutdowns tend to lean towards depression, loneliness, poor self-image, and poor self-worth. Shutdowns can result from extreme events, for example, losing a job or a marriage breakup and so on, but they can also have very small triggers, which simply remind the person of a larger pain. For example, a small incident at work can provoke some long-term insecurities and cause a retreat. A shutdown will move some form of emotional pain to the center of the person's focus, and he may start contemplating what if and if only scenarios. Now, these thoughts are always counterproductive because you can't change the past, and they usually only make the person feel trapped by events. During a shutdown, the individual will want to retreat for lengthy periods of time and will generally not want to have contact with anyone. So you could think of meltdowns as a short-circuiting of the brain where he is no longer in cognitive control of his responses. And you could think of a shutdown as simply trying to avoid a meltdown. In other words, he hibernates before he's so overwhelmed that his brain shuts down.